Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another World of Unknown with Danny and Trevor here, guys. Hey, we're going to jump right in because we got a very interesting topic here. In fact, the topic was brought by suggested by Trevor right here.
Yeah.
And I kind of heard a little bit about it when I started looking into it. It's like, whoa, there's a lot going on here. And so what we're going to talk about today is the dark pyramids of Antarctica and Alaska.
Yep.
Believe me, when you're going like, wait, what? Exactly. We'll explain, man. So let's get right into it, man. Let's start with, I think we're starting with the frozen land, the frozen tundra of Antarctica, right?
So we'll go with that one first.
Yeah.
So over in Antarctica, there's a bunch of different sites with conspiracies. We have, bases. We have.
It's loaded with this conspiracy stuff, from Nazis to, secret bases to
that might be the entrance of the Hollow Earth.
Hollow Earth, and exactly.
So down there, back in 1910, some expeditions, a British expedition, found this mountain that looked very similar to a pyramid.
Okay.
But we're talking about a pyramid that is 4,000 feet high.
Right.
And it's part of like almost a mountain range when you look at it from a satellite now.
Yeah.
And the weird thing was the expedition, when they went down there, they kept it secret.
They didn't say anything about it.
And they just said, we found a pyramid.
And this would dwarf the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt, right?
The Pyramid of Giza is 10 times bigger than the Pyramid of Giza. If this is really a pyramid.
Just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Right. And I think it's ginormous. It's 455 feet tall, the Giza one. So this one's...
So these are 4,000 feet.
Yeah. Okay. So
the one expedition found it.
Okay.
I think it was back in 2010, I think.
Okay.
I want to say. They found two more. So there's two inland, about 10 miles into Antarctica.
Right.
And then there's one directly on the coast.
Gotcha.
And geologists call it, what is it called?
Noontech.
Noontech?
Yeah.
Which, it's just, what Noontech means is just rock formation sticking out of the glacier.
Yeah, rock formations from mountains that stick out of the glacier, basically.
Well, it doesn't even say mountains. It just says big rock formations
from under
sticking
ice,
out of the glacier. Yeah.
Sticking out of, okay.
So they say that this is actually
natural.
very condom. I mean, not condom.
Condom, wow.
Common. Sorry, I'm just waking up. This is very
awesome.
common. Usually they only get like two sides that look like that, not all four.
That are flat and smooth and stuff.
But the weird thing is that how are you getting three different mountain ranges, if they are, that are all looking with the four sides perfectly
smooth.
like a triangle.
They're looking like a pyramid.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at a photo right now, which I'm going to kind of put up here, and you see the main one in the middle here. And that, that's... they say it's very rare for something to have four sides naturally.
Very, very rare.
To come out that way. That comes up to a point, and they say, well, a lot of mountains come up to a point. I'm like, yeah, but this is coming up awfully close to. This looks a lot like.
It looks like a pyramid.
Like a pyramid in the Egypt pyramids that you look at.
It's symmetrical. Everything's lined up how it should be.
And I almost could be like, okay, but then surrounding it are two different pyramid type. Like this one might look like part of a mountain, but even the way it forms at the top is.
But the back one looks more like a pyramid.
It looks kind of man-made. So with the picture I'm looking at, if you look at below it in the south part of that, it almost looks like it might be part of something even bigger. Because this stuff is covered by snow. We don't know how deep and how far it might go.
So they say it's 4,000 feet.
Right. But that's their best.
But that's not even, what is that, like maybe a quarter?
Right.
So it's deep. Like it's just covered in snow.
Exactly. So we're not sure underneath what happens and where it goes.
Idea.
And we just automatically assume it keeps going the way it goes. We don't know what's going on. These other two that surround it could be different kinds of, like the Sphinx, and they had different buildings that go around.
Well, it could be a whole civilization that we're looking at.
That we're looking at. So, and obviously geologists are hard to no, that's nothing. You guys are just making something out of nothing. But when you start looking at photos of it,
it's very compelling.
It is, and then I can see what they're saying. Like, well, look, this is not exactly straight. I'm like, yeah, it's not. But then again, you got to realize it's past civilizations. I don't know.
You know what? I'll say this: past civilizations were very good with geometry.
Yes.
The architecture on some of those pyramids are just flawless.
Right.
So, but when we're looking at that, how much is that snowdrift covering it? And how much could that actually be moved over to where it's actually symmetrical?
Right.
So, they would have to dig it up, which they're never going to do.
No, you can't. Yeah.
Unless that melts.
Right.
But this is one of the big things. They said that the civilization that would have built that would be 100 million years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the latest the earliest human fossil that we have is 300,000 years old. So that's we're missing a lot of time.
I'm on the fence of it could have been. I mean, just because we can't find it doesn't mean it's not there. I mean, it's kind of arrogant for us to think like we were the first species ever to be this intelligent on there. There could have been some. I mean, if it's 100 million years ago, we would find no record of them at all.
Yeah,
there would be no fossils or nothing. There would be all dust.
Plus, if we did have catastrophic events that hit the Earth, especially 100 million years ago, the dinosaurs got wiped out. I mean, it could have just took whatever civilization was there and just wiped it clean.
Right.
Very well.
Right. I mean, it could be. It's something. So I mean, it is possible.
And they've never dug up that.
Right, they never dug it up. So I think, and Antarctica, you know, as it is, where it moved to after Pangea and it shifted, everything's frozen in ice. Everything got perfectly preserved. But unfortunately, where it's at, we can't really get to there. You know, because even now it's too inhospitable.
It takes, I think there's like, at one time on that whole continent, I think there might be like 50, 60 people.
Maybe.
And that's pushing it. Because just the supplies, the isolation.
And people are like, yeah, but we got bases down there. I'm like, yeah, just because you have a base doesn't mean you can put this big, massive expedition down there. You're talking
about a skeleton crew, and then the paperwork just to get down there is ridiculous.
Right. And so that puts a good thing. So it's so bad, even nowadays with the equipment we have, it's just, you can't do anything down there other than survey some stuff. And you can have like planes and things, but you can't do anything major down there, which brings up people like, well, why do they, you know, prevent people from going there? What's with this treaty?
They prevent people from going there because they don't want them to die.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Antarctica is, I think you have to have a certain amount of countries that'll allow you to go there because it's like a treaty with multiple countries. You have to get permission. People die down there just trying to walk to the bathroom, which is like 100 meters away.
It's not a friendly place.
You don't
doesn't matter how good of an outdoorsman you are or how experienced you are.
You're not ready for that.
It's not. Nobody is. I mean, from what I understand,
you will die. You will just freeze to death. You will get lost.
And I think this treaty with these countries, all the countries realize like, okay, there's no way we can do anything down there with this place. So we might as well just we come as a pact and like we're going to use it as a scientific,
not have to go do. Well, I think the main thing is they don't want to have to do search and rescue and lose more
which
people.
They had before, and they lost
so
tons
many people
of money
trying to find them
and losing people
money.
to find that. So they're just telling people like, stop being stupid. Don't go down there. You're not ready for it. You think you are, but you're not. So stop it. I think that was it because all the resources spent to do that. So that's one of the main reasons why I know some people might roll their eyes, but that's if you think about it, that makes sense. You know, it's
we're fragile.
Yeah, we're not made for that type, and it's just not good down there. So until that landmass moves again, we're not going to be able to, I mean, or years later, we can actually find a way to get through that or sonar or whatever to look underneath. We're not going to know.
The technology will come one day, I think, down the road.
Yeah.
But
we just recently got the technology to start looking through jungle forest to
they're finding things in
cities.
The Amazon,
without having to dig
cities,
anything, right?
Yeah, they're finding whole
civilizations. I forgot what that was, but it's something you can look through the jungle and they can see, and
it's
called
LiDAR.
LiDAR, basically.
Yeah, but LiDAR can't penetrate the snow like that.
And so they get that. It might be, coming up, maybe not in our lifetime, but they'll come up and they'll figure it out.
Yeah, they said about 100 years maybe there might be something.
And then we can figure that out.
And the crazy thing is, Antarctica used to be a very lush green forest.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the realm that it held humanity.
Right.
People could have survived there. There was a catastrophic event where all the continents started moving, the shelves.
Yes.
And it just took Antarctica and it just put it all the way down. And I think that whole move was like almost.
So then now we go. So it's kind of the basic thing of what the pyramids could be. So now we get into a little bit of the weird kind of what some people are thinking. So now we have.
So now we're gonna get into interesting shit.
Now we get into these. Obviously you always get the alien people coming out and saying exactly what those pyramids are. So I would say those pyramids are dark in color because it could have been the stone they used.
They're black.
Or it could have also been just somewhat long ago that the color is just kind of faded, and being under snow, it darkened whatever it was to.
It could have.
Whatever. I mean, it doesn't mean exactly that it was built that way. We don't know because we can't get down there, and it looks like any kind of governmental science people. They're just like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't know. They could be looking into it. But then obviously you got all the UFO people coming out of the woodwork going, one guy over here, Eric Hecker, described the South Pole as a air traffic control hub for for aliens. How the hell he would know that? I have no idea.
Yeah. And the thing with this one is, I think the main thing that people get really interested about is sometimes when you look at Google Maps, there's blurry photos of things that you can't see. And I think that's where everyone's like, oh, no, aliens are right there. And they're covering it up. And, I'm like, maybe just you can't take a picture of it. Right. Because Google Maps isn't perfect.
No, exactly.
Maybe the snow was just blinding.
Right.
And you just couldn't get that angle because the sun was hitting perfectly. I don't know.
Right. Exactly. I don't think they're really hiding anything down there. But I
believe they have bases and stuff. Because remember, there's that one base that they say goes all the way under, and this big labyrinth. And I can see that.
Right. And then you got the people that say that's the Nazi bases are down there.
The Nazis did go down there.
I don't know how that's any correlation with the pyramids down there, but they're saying, well, there's Nazi bases down there. Maybe they found the pyramids and stuff.
They were into that. What was it? The supernatural. They were trying to find the
right. And what's supernatural exactly? And that obviously
so they went the pyramids. All over the earth finding this.
I think they found out that supposedly the Nazis did not go down there. They made it to Argentina, but I guess
they didn't hide. But I think they did send people into.
They did send them
during the war.
Actually, it was right.
Yeah,
it was
during the
before
war,
they really kicked up, but they were sending them for the whale blubber. They wanted it because it's a good source of fuel and everything. But it had nothing to do with any. But then again, that's just what they say. I don't know how you swing on that side of the
Nazis were kind of crazy.
I think we're now with everything that we set down there, we should have been able to find some kind of. First of all, I don't know how anybody can survive down there for years upon years with no other help from getting. I guess. South America.
You need help.
Right.
There's no food down there. There's nothing to hunt. There's nothing to fish.
Right.
You just.
I know they say Argentina was sympathetic to German at the time. Yeah.
Well, they went there.
Yeah.
There's a whole colony there.
Right. Exactly. But I don't know if they were enough to start kind of.
No. That's where all the Argentina one was. All the defectors that didn't get caught.
I'm talking about the Antarctica. I don't know if Argentina would be able to supply them with the Antarctica thing.
They stayed within Argentina.
There couldn't be in Argentina, but now I was talking about Antarctica. Yeah, that's
because Argentina didn't have extradition, so that's where they stayed.
Exactly. So I don't know about that. As far as the alien things, every time we find something weird, it's always aliens.
Now, I do like this one.
Yeah.
The flat earthers.
Okay.
Now beware.
Oh boy. Yes.
Flat earthers claim that Antarctica is the flat plane that surrounds the rest of the Earth.
So basically, they say it goes all around. Right. It's so that's what Antarctica is. It's the friends. I'm like
So technically, it's the biggest continent on the Earth.
Again, I'll give it to the flat earthers. They are not budging, no matter how much logic and pictures and stuff you throw at them. They are not going to move at all. They're sticking to their story. And God dang you if you try to push them.
And they say the NASA employees guard it.
Yeah.
So instead of going to space, they're guarding the ice wall
exactly.
for us to not somehow get out of it.
You know what? We were to come out and find out that this is true and they were right, then I will gladly say, you know what, I was wrong and I'm sorry.
I'll join the
right now I'm laughing because that's funny.
I'll join the movement.
That's pretty good. Yeah, exactly. But it's right.
What is it? July 2018. They say someone saw a crashed UFO in Antarctica.
Oh, on like the Google Earth or the Google. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you can see evidence of avalanche where it hit and fell down. And
right.
Some other people say there's an X marks the spot apparently for
this is
a
all
UFO
by those
crash.
Pyramids, right? All by the pyramids.
Yeah, all by the pyramids, and in that area.
Okay. Again, we'll put some photos of the pyramid stuff and everything.
It's
some
really
of the stuff,
cool.
like the UFO things. That's how I think it kind of gets related. What's part of the. It's something weird in Antarctica, and instead of being like a civilization, automatically goes to aliens and stuff and that, and
which is funny. Which, in all honesty, if it was aliens that came 100 million years ago, it makes sense that they, maybe they were just dicking around.
Build a pyramid, yeah.
Okay, I can see that. It didn't have anything to do with humans, and it just got buried.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Either that, or there's like when we're not looking, there's a little alien that comes on with little wands for the thing, and they're doing this for they're like, come in, yeah, land over here. Here.
It's like a whole power
air
station.
traffic control hub for the aliens. Exactly. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
No. You go to Washington D.C.
Right, exactly.
No, you go to Russia.
Exactly. Yeah, you go that way. Yeah. Yeah. No, go abduct the hillbillies up in America. Yeah, over there. No, go to Oklahoma. Yeah, there we go. Yes. Yeah. All right. The guy's like, why do we always got to abduct the hillbillies? Damn it.
I wanted to kill a cow today.
Yeah, I wanted to kill a cow. We can't do that. Darn it. All right. So speaking of weird crazy kind of story. Is that it on Antarctica?
I mean Antarctica is kind of straightforward. There's not a lot of craziness. I think because there's not a lot of people that can go down there and dig around.
It's all kind of hypothesis, and geologists are hardcore saying, like, look, this is just a Nuntech. It's just a part of the mountain. It's part of the way it just happens to be smooth.
Three different mountains.
I'll throw the photos of the mountain, and even that one, I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, maybe, but it's I don't know, it looks a little too perfect for me. But we'll get into that, what we think later.
Hard, yeah.
But let's jump into. You think that was a weird story? We'll jump into an even crazier,
closer to home.
Right, and I mentioned in the title. Let's talk about the Dark Pyramid in Alaska. What exactly? That's what I said when I first kind of heard about it. So let's briefly touch up on another place that's at not many people could live. It's hard, weather hard, up
it's
north.
The last frontier.
In Alaska. And have you ever heard of the Bermuda Triangle? Well, Alaska supposedly has an Alaskan Triangle that kind of covers over like the whole part of Alaska.
It's,
and again, for its perfect triangle.
The southern region, almost.
Something like
and
that.
A lot of people go missing in this thing.
So if you know, like Alaska is a lot of it, like I said, is uninhabitable. Basically, it's a lot of forest and snow because most of the time it's way too dense. I mean, you hear the stories about 24 hours of nighttime and 28. It's no reason for us to go down there and live.
No, they go 64 days.
64 days, right? So I mean, there's people that live there, but there's no reason to really put a lot of resources into. We got so much area not to do that. But the story kind of starts off with this Doug Mutzler, right?
Yeah, what was it, back in like 93?
So back in 89, so let's just say right about 2012, this guy, counterintelligence for the Air Force guy, Doug Mutzler, comes out and has a story that there's a pyramid in Alaska that's buried underground. So his story starts off, and it's like 1989. He was working, he's a counterintelligence officer. He was stationed up in Fort Richardson and on Oscars in Anchorage out there. So that's kind of near the Anchorage area.
Which there's nothing to do out there, so I'd be snooping too.
Right. So he gets out there in counterintelligence, and he's trying to, for espionage and terrorism. Alaska is really close to, the other side of the eastern.
Right next to Russia.
Russia and the world. So in that time, it's the Cold War and everything. So he gets himself out there. And when he gets in and assigned there, he right away starts opening the maps. He wants to get the lay of the area to know what he's kind of looking at and area he has to worry about. And
didn't he stumble on something?
Yeah, 1980. So at this point, we've had Alaska for a while. Everything's been kind of surveyed and stuff. So he's looking over, but he knows there's right next to Mount McKinley, which is now Mount Denali. But back then it was Mount McKinley. I don't know why they changed it. But southwest of it.
Mean.
Yeah.
Something wrong with him.
Yeah, exactly. They have this little area, this little kind of small area that said is area not yet surveyed. He thought that was weird. It was just like a little area, not perfectly circled, but it's just kind of, and he's like, well, that's weird, because everything else around it's kind of surveyed, but he's just like, whatever, I guess I don't need to know. They'll tell me what I need to know. So he left it at that, but he thought it was very weird,
Yeah.
And I guess being what he is, it kind of stuck with him. So in May of 1992, is years later, he's still over there. He was kind of, I think it was like in a break room or a dining room, whatever. There's a bunch of people and they're watching the news. And it's so May 1992. And I think when he told the story, he got the date wrong. But if you go back and look, so May 92, China had underground nuclear bomb testing that they were doing. Supposedly they weren't supposed to be doing it. But I heard that they had got it cleared. Anyways, they did some testing underneath. It was a big bomb and it set off a seismic event. So these seismic readers up in Alaska, which they could obviously be felt from there, realized the underground, shock waves of it had sent like a weird, I don't know how they read it, and it looked like a shape of a pyramid underground, which they were excited about. And the pyramid and they named the area kind of close to Mount Denali, which when Doug Mutzler kind of heard it, he kind of picked up like, wait a minute, because that's the area that said there was the area not surveyed. He's like, what the? So he was a bunch of people, dozens of people that seen this with him. So he wanted to wait and see this. Back then, this is 1989. There's no streaming, there's no reversing, there's no TiVo or nothing.
No.
If you saw something, it was an earlier news broadcast, so he waited to the nighttime news broadcast to see it again. He wanted to see the replay, and nothing was said of it. Nothing again. I guess he woke up the next morning, nothing was said of it again.
I think it was like 20 people that saw that too.
Something like that. It was a bunch of people.
It was a good amount of people.
Right. So he he called some family and friends to see if they had seen anything about it. He called I saw a story of his father who watches the news a lot. If he had seen anything about it, like, no, I didn't see nothing about it, like all the news broadcasts about it. So it bugged him enough that he went down to the local news broadcasting, and I guess with his credentials, they were able to talk to the station manager down there, and he asked about that broadcast, where the manager's like, no, we never had that kind of broadcast. I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, well, I saw it. He goes, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you saw, but we never ran anything like that. And he kind of just left Doug Muchler there, and Doug kind of sat there. He goes, I just kind of sat there like, okay, what the fuck? He goes, am I going crazy? He goes, what?
Nah, Men in Black, man.
What's going on? So he started to leave the building kind of like, not in a daze, but he kind of walked around like, he walked slowly like, wow, what is going on? Where somebody kind of, a young intern or worker kind of rushed him over before he left the building, and he said, we did run that story, but these two governmental men came in and they confiscated everything, and they told us that we didn't run that story and we don't know anything about it. And Men in Black? Yeah. But so
that's what it
was.
Said.
So obviously Doug took the information, he left, he goes, okay, well, look, and he's part of the counterintelligence thing. He's thinking, okay, well, it's something I guess I'm not supposed to know. I'm not supposed to know about.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go on. Sorry.
Now, wasn't there a chain link fence covering the whole area?
I'm not sure about that. Maybe.
I think when I was reading, in that area that's not surveyed, there's actually a chain link fence that says government property, do not come on.
Possibly.
So they probably knew the whole time what was under there. They just didn't want anybody else knowing about it.
Right. So the next year, in 1993, Doug had a chance to go to Fort Meade in Maryland. Fort Meade is known as having a bunch of archives from military records. So still being kind of, this happened. Obviously, he's still interested now, even more so since that whole, broadcast story about it.
Stuck.
He goes down to Fort Meade and whatever. I don't know if he's down there, he's down there. He happened to go visit this archive area, and he wanted to go look up, maybe see if he could find something about it. So he goes and tells the main clerk, hey, I'm looking for archaeological expedition sites over in Alaska, and supposedly the archivist was like, yeah, just, it's over there, tells him where it's at, kind of like, didn't really make it seem like a big deal. So Doug goes down. So the stories, there's a few sources I was trying to read, where he finds the file about the expedition's archaeological digs in Alaska, and he gets there. One is that as soon as he's got it, this happens, and the other ones he's kind of looked into a little bit, but the one I first heard is like, as soon as he's kind of got it, he kind of sits himself down to start really diving into this site. These two men come up, and they said, you need to stop what you're doing. And he looked up at him, he's like, what do you mean? He goes, you know what you're doing. He's like, I'm just looking. He's like, no, they know what you're doing.
Yeah. Give me the file.
They give me the file, and they want you to stop. They need you to leave them alone, and they need you to stop looking into this. So obviously we're like, they? The fuck are they?
Yeah.
I go, he didn't say just stop. He just said they. They want you to leave us alone. They want you to leave them alone was another. I only heard from a couple sources. Some other ones didn't have. It's weird. That story, how it's told. I don't know if it's how he's told it or something in my memory. And
yeah, but I mean, like, if it was MIB, it could be an agency we've never heard of that wants you to leave you alone.
Right, exactly.
It could be aliens.
Right.
It could be, some random guy named Doug.
Right.
You don't know.
Right. So obviously after that, Doug's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to stop doing this. I'm not going to look into this more. I'm still working. I'm a counterintelligence officer.
I think didn't they threaten his job too? Kind of.
If you don't stop, right? And I think he knew after that. It's like, okay, I need to stop.
Yeah, I need to.
So he left it alone for decades until he left the service, and then that's when he, into about 2012ish, he kind of got in touch with Linda Moulton Howe. I'll put the name of them. So Linda is actually supposed to be big in the UFO investigative circle of people. She's pretty well known. She's iconic. She's a UFO investigator.
She has an award.
She has an Emmy Award winning
for audio.
For audio. Way in the 1981, she did A Strange Harvest. It had to do with cattle mutilations. But she's done stuff, and she's, for the UFO side, she's built up a reputation of trying to get, figure stuff out, and she's going in. So he had reached out to her for help about this. So she started looking in and her contacts and stories and started reaching out to people. And she did come up with a few interesting stories for people that have dealt with this. And I want to know, so one of them was, and I don't know how. So a lot of these contacts and stories you got, obviously, she's not giving the names who gave it to him.
Yeah.
He's not doing it.
She's protecting her source.
Right. So one of them was a story of Marty Johnson. So Marty Johnson in the late 50. Marty Johnson was a World War II naval electrical engineer who was in World War II. And he continued afterwards. He continued contract work with the military when they need him for top secret projects and stuff like that. So in the late 50s, they wanted to hire him for this project in Alaska, this top secret. And he was supposedly, again, I don't know how this is punched up with people just telling stories. He was supposedly into that kind of cloak and dagger stuff. So they got him on to wherever they met up with him. But not just him, a bunch of people got into this bus who the windows were all blacked out. They couldn't see it. So he was all giddy, like, oh, this is so cool. It's all top secret and stuff. And then it wasn't much fun when they started driving for 6 hours with not being able to look out the window. Remember, guys, they don't have phones back then, so I guess you just talk to other people. I don't know.
Or you bring a magazine.
Right, bring a magazine, or so. I don't even know if you knew how long it was going to go. He probably didn't.
Not. They probably didn't know anything.
So after when they finally stop and they get out, they're blinded because they're in the middle of nowhere in Alaska and everything's covered with snow. And he goes, it was almost blinding. We look over and we don't see anything because all we see is this kind of little, almost like a cement shed, just a couple of military people coming out with the military, and he's kind of like, at this point, he's like, what the hell is going on? So they kind of motion to go to the shed. They go into this little shed where they realized the shed was like an elevator shaft.
Yeah.
And they start going down. It's like, oh, okay, underground. That makes sense because I was thinking, what the hell are we doing here? It's just a stupid shed. They're going to kill us? So they go down this elevator shaft, and he notices they're going down for a long time. They're going down and down. It's not like a normal, not even like a tall, high-rise building. And finally, when they finally stop, it's this underground military bunker like normal, like he's seen before. But when they go in and they finally go through and they find out what they're looking on, it's a big black pyramid underground.
Yeah, so the pyramid is actually 700 feet underground, and it's 400 feet tall.
550
Is it 550 feet?
It's 100 feet taller than the pyramid in Giza.
Yeah, so it's just black.
Right. Well, the angles on this too, and they said it was kind of important, are 48 degrees and not 45. I guess all the pyramids in Egypt are 45, and this is a 48-degree angle, which makes it a little steeper. For some reason, it was kind of important that I guess he has said, stressed that it's not 45, it's a 48-degree.
Well, pyramid. I would think it'd be harder to make something more straight up,
right?
Than
right. So this thing was already kind of excavated out where he can see what it was,
and it's thousands of years old.
And so what he was basically doing, his purpose of the project was energy distribution. He goes, they were trying to how to harness it and use it. We don't know how that project went. I didn't get that part of the story. Didn't come out,
or we don't ever know if it.
Right.
Top secret.
This energy and power that this pyramid was producing was quite a big, supposedly enough to power the whole country.
Yep, that's what I heard too.
But I don't know. Again, we don't know if they harnessed it or not. And this is back in the 50s. So this story. Back in the 50s, this thing was already excavated out, and they're already working on it. They already had people. There was already bunkers. There was already elevators. It was already going on, so we don't know when this was eventually founded. Okay. So the next story that she had come up with, this one go, is Bruce Pearson and his father Lee. So Bruce Pearson is supposedly, I was trying to look into him again. We're watching some of the shows that we're watching. He's kind of a known guy. He's like a broadcast, like a radio broadcaster or something. I don't know, somebody with money. But he had a story that his father Lee had told him that back in '78, Lee's father was part of the military, and I can't tell if he had a friend or he just came across some people he got chummy with. They're out in the Alaska area, and Lee's father at that time, and I think he wasn't going out as much, but this friend of his, knowing that his dad was kind of bummed out for not being able to do expeditions or go out anymore. Yeah. Kind of said, hey, why don't you come with me? I got to have this top secret kind of package delivery that I got to go. And it's really cool. You're gonna enjoy this. He's like, okay, sure. So they take off from Anchorage or wherever they're at. It takes a couple hours to get there. And running a couple hours in, the pilot turns to Lee and goes, okay, look, in a little bit, all the equipment on the helicopter is going to go haywire and it's going to go off, and it sounds like the engine's going nuts. He goes, don't worry about it. It's normal. It's supposed to happen. Just relax, okay? And he's like, okay. So as he said, everything goes off. The helicopter goes weird. It almost feels like the engine's going to cut off, but it keeps flying. And it goes in and flies, and it lands this little small area. And like Leah said, there was nothing really there. It's a small little shed-looking building and a few little military contingent that was sitting there. And when he lands, these guys are loaded up, and they have guns. They have pointing at them. They have this 50 caliber off a Jeep pointing at them. These guys come up to start unloading. They're asking them, get and start checking the packages. They don't have any insignia on them. They don't have nothing on them. There's nothing to say who they're from or what they're from. Right. Totally covert. So Lee starts getting a little nervous. All these guns pointing at him. He looks over at the pilot, and the pilot's kind of like, like, hey, it's okay. Don't worry about it. This is what's supposed to happen. Right.
Yeah.
So when they get the
procedure
packages off and everything, and I'm trying to remember which story I heard. I don't think much was really said about it. They just kind of got off. So when he took off, the same thing happened with the stuff being all weird and haywire until they left and they got out of the area.
5 miles out, something
right.
like that.
And then normal the helicopter stuff was happening, started kicking on again. And so Lee's like, dude, what the hell was that? Where the pilot kind of shushed him. He's like, and he points at his headphones, meaning like they're listening in. So he goes, all right. So he just didn't live it. So when they went and landed and they got off is when he finally started telling him that it was supposedly it's a dark pyramid down there that's more secret than the Manhattan Project. Okay, the place it's a giant pyramid made of black stone. At least they think it's stone. They say it's thousands of years old, at least thousands of years old, and the engineers have been working there since the 50s. Marty Johnson. All they know right now it's just some kind of, and this is 1978, some kind of power generator generating enough energy to power the whole country. So Bruce hearing this story from his father, and that's the only part of the story here. We watched a video, I think from, God, it might have been right before COVID. That Bruce was going into his documentary that he actually has this bush pilot that would agree to take him out in that area that his father had. So, okay, let me go back. So Linda Howe had found this story. She reached out and she said supposedly, trying to find more information, this captain from, she didn't say who, this captain, ex-captain, had sent her a bunch of surveying pictures from Alaska in that area, and that she's looking at these photos and she didn't know what she's looking at, and she finally realized there was kind of like a rectangle area in that forest area, the photo she's looking at. It wasn't highlighted, but she can kind of tell, like, oh, that's weird. It looks like a rectangle shape in there.
Like it's been cleared out.
And it had the coordinates on there. Okay. So she gave it to Bruce, this is Lee's son, and this is not too long ago, actually, where he took a bush pilot out and they went to that area to survey it. And I don't know if you saw that video about it, but they went to go look, and what they had seen, found would look like an old runway.
Yeah,
it's going over a brush. And then there was another part where there was a clearing that looked, the clearing looked a little suspicious, but it looked like three sides of it were kind of square and the other one was kind of like rounded off a little bit. It's all grown over. It's nothing there now, but it looked like there was something there. I will give it looked like something there, but especially the landing strip thing was just perfectly down there. So he was kind of happy that they found some kind, I don't know, he said it sounds kind of validation, the story. I go, well, okay. I mean, that's...
He wasn't crazy.
He wasn't crazy, and at the same time, so... and then there was the other story of the...
Project Stargate.
Project Stargate.
In 2012, they had a remote viewer. I didn't get a name or anything, but...
Yeah, I didn't give her a name. Now, these are all people contacting. So all these stories coming out are what Linda Moulton Howe had found. Had people contact her what she had found. So the remote viewing.
Remote viewing is when somebody in like Montana can help find either a place or a person in like Florida, in the Europe, something like that. It's almost like
mentally. Yeah,
it's a weird thing to describe.
That could be a whole nother episode as our remote viewing. This is actually the government. Back in the day, used to actually look into this because they thought they can use remote viewing as a military.
It's technically astral projection.
It is, but it's not. Yeah, but if you think about astral projection, think of it like astral projection.
Like their body can go somewhere else.
Supposedly, it's not exactly that.
Yeah.
But this is actually a governmental fund, and there's another episode we could do that government's actually spent, not just our government, spent money doing this because they
help find people,
to find military.
Yeah.
Stuff. I mean, they just want to use it as covert stuff, and they can
military
use
specs, and
we never don't know exactly how it went. But supposedly, this person was a remote viewer.
So she got hired by somebody. She started looking into that area. And she said that she saw the pyramid. Yeah. She saw the base underneath. She went in. There was humans and aliens.
It's almost like they were taking like a tour guide, right?
So there was humans and aliens working together. Yeah. In this area, her tour guide was not human. Right. But walked her around and showed her everything. Like it knew she was there.
Yeah. Was she like with a group of people? It wasn't just her, right?
No. It was just her.
Okay, got it.
And I think when she went in there, if it was an alien, the alien could sense her.
Right.
And it just walked her around.
It looked like a human, but it was not, basically.
No. Okay. Yeah, it was human-ish, but not.
Right.
From what I've read and I've looked up, they're saying that it is a hub station, like a gas station for UFOs. And that the aliens are actually running it, and the humans are just supporting them.
Yes. We're trying to learn from them.
Yeah, they're trying to learn the power systems and try to, they're trying to evolve our technology.
So aliens come down, refuel, get some Cheez-Its and some a big gulp. And
there's a lot of UFO hotspots down in Alaska.
There is. And that goes part of the Alaskan Triangle. Like we take a lot of weird stuff there, a lot of high electromagnetic fields down there, which is called obviously another thing we do on the Alaskan Triangle. But and that was the story of the remote viewer, which again she didn't give the name.
No, I think she was
exactly
keeping her thing. But I mean, that's interesting that she could describe what the pyramid looked like.
Right.
I don't know if she knew beforehand. I don't know all that.
Right.
But that is kind of a very weird, interesting story for sure.
Right, exactly. So the last story I want to see here from Alaska, let's see if I can find it here. So I was looking, and when I first started looking at Alaska Triangle, I found a story about a gentleman, I don't remember his name, but he was all into the Alaskan pyramid thing, and he was more of an outdoorsman and everything. I think he might have been an ex-military man, where it was enough of his passion where he had... at the beginning of the summertime, he had asked, he wanted to take an expedition there to go to discover it himself. So he loaded up with everything and he wanted to go there for a few months, actually, which was just nuts out there.
It's deep.
Right, it's deep. He had this pilot go and drop him off and said, look, and this is like in June, he's like, well, in September, whatever, come pick me up. Yeah, you got to leave right before the snow. Come pick me up in the same area in September. So he actually had text and he had like a solar phone, whatever they can go out there and they would hear from him around I think they draw him off in May. I'm sorry. So around about a couple of weeks later, mid-June, they stopped hearing from him.
He disappeared.
And they couldn't get a hold of him.
Gear too.
Right. Well, they couldn't get a hold of him, but they couldn't do anything about it. They can't. Even if they went down there, they don't know where he went.
Yeah, he didn't give coordinates. He didn't give anything.
The only coordinates he have is the landing, and that's it. And so they would go down there landing, but they would know where to go. So they had to wait until September. And they didn't hear anything about it to go, and obviously he didn't show up in September. So they had to put this massive, search party, and they found his sites. Right?
So they found the camping site, and it wasn't torn up or anything. It was just there,
like it was
all his shit.
Right.
And it looked like now there has been things where people do they go mad. It's happened
the weather. So
it happened in there's a famous story in Russia about it. Where people kind of just decided to wander off.
Yeah, they were wandering off because you get so cold.
And they killed each other. And
hypothermia makes it sometimes you think that you're burning up, and they were like half of them were naked because they thought they were so hot.
Some of them stabbed the other ones. It was a weird thing.
The story. That's another story we could do too. But yeah, exactly. I forget the name of that, but I'll put the name here if I get that up.
Yeah, there's some really big bears.
Yeah.
And if he was fucking up and he walked past one going to a stream, they're not going to find him. He's gone.
It doesn't matter what you're equipped with.
Wolves, bears, elk, moose.
That's what I was thinking too. They just
get killed so easy.
They didn't look for that. They didn't find any sign of that.
Yeah, but you know how dense that forest is and how hard it would be to find anything.
Right. I agree.
Because at that time you're looking for bones because you probably got picked apart.
Right, and that's what they said. They were trying to look around the area. I mean, the bear could have moved, like you said, an area that they don't. Maybe it's little lair, and they dragged it, and they don't know.
Could have been.
They didn't find any. They did look for that, and it's not surprising they didn't find anything. But I think that's a main possibility of what could have happened. You ran into a wild animal. It's that in the wilderness.
He dicked around, and he went to that site, and he got down there somehow, and they made him disappear.
Or
maybe he's working in it now.
You never know.
Maybe he's a
forced to. It's like, well, either we get rid of you, or you come work with this. Right, exactly.
You only have two choices.
Right, exactly. So we don't know. I'll try to find that story again of the guy. I don't even know if they gave his name or not. I think they did, but
I think they did too. But he was very stupid for going out.
I got so many tabs here on my laptop, dude. I can't find it right now. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Yeah.
The main thing is don't go into Alaska by yourself thinking you're gonna be able to figure all that out.
No, just like Antarctica. I mean that.
Alaska's it's a whole different monster.
Well, I thought this dude was nuts, but just saying that he was going to go there for like 3 months, man.
Yeah, I know.
Jeez Louise, out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, you have to have a lot
in
of
Alaska?
supplies.
Yeah.
You have to have a lot of supplies.
That's what I'm thinking. So I guess he was maybe thinking of hunting. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he ran out of food and he went crazy being hungry and went and slid down and
just kind of died.
Died and just fell somewhere where they couldn't find. I don't know. I mean, you think they would have been able to find something, but then animals got to him, or well, who knows? Who knows what would happen? I mean, because you were supposed to, you usually got to, for that long, you'd have to have a big.
He could have went for a trek and just got hurt and couldn't make it back.
Fell down a mountain and slid into something.
Or,
so many things that could have happened to him. So that story was kind of a little.
It was weird, stupid, but weird.
Right. So let's. Well, I think we got all our info that we got out, right? I mean, it's a lot going on. Well, let's get into what we think, man. Let's start with Antarctica here first. Let's what do we think of the Antarctica story? With the dark pyramid up there.
I mean, my point of view is I don't think there was civilization 100 million years ago. I think there was civilization 100,000 years ago.
Yeah.
I think we are missing a big chunk of human civilization that was smarter than we think it was, and it was, it was very dominant. I mean, for humans 100 million years ago, they'd be battling T-Rexes, and they'd be fighting with dinosaurs.
Maybe it could even been older than that, but
yeah. But I think maybe they are mountainous areas that just kind of got weathered. And you're talking about it used to be sitting in a rainforest, so you're talking about wind, rain. Then you got snow cap and
basically what the geologists are saying, it's just kind of very rare to happen, but they happen that way.
Yeah, I think it just was. You have 3 mountains that maybe got hit by the same type of storms because it was all kind of the same area.
Yeah,
and it just the storm shifted and hit and 4,000 feet building a pyramid that big. I don't think humans are at all capable.
Right.
I think it would, if it was a civilization, it had to be alien.
Yeah.
Because that is massive.
Right.
I mean, the tallest building in the world we have now is like 2,700 feet.
Yeah.
And that's a straight needle.
Yeah.
So it's moving that kind of rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they haven't found an entrance to either of them.
I know. It seems like they haven't really. I mean, they haven't really
excavated that area.
Or kind of go. I understand you can't. We can't exactly. That's just it.
It might as well be in a war zone.
Right. You can't.
Yeah.
I'm kind of believing that might be something down there, man-made. I mean, even 100 million. Yeah, dinosaur. I mean, I think even it was like 50 million years ago. I think a civilization could have existed that we would have no track of whatsoever. It's just so long ago.
And just in that like region.
Maybe at one point Pangea was there and I don't know. There's just so much stuff that could have happened that people could have been in civilizations that were so much smarter that they knew how to do stuff. It's. I think it's possible. At first, I was hearing the story. I'm like, okay, but then when I started looking at the photos, man, that really does look like a pyramid, like the pyramids.
No, it does.
I mean,
all 3 of them do.
All 3 of them. There's a bunch of them. Yeah, there's those 3 that are lined up, and maybe if it was one, I'm like, okay, but then there's got the 3 that almost kind of look identical. I'm like, man, I don't know. That looks too symmetrical. It looks too. It is covered in ice. It is covered in snow. We don't know what's down there, so it would not shock me to come out like, oh shit, there was humans down here a long time ago. And every time we think like we know how long humans live, we keep finding something older.
It's going back and back and back.
Older.
Yes.
And forget what we're hearing about. If there were civilizations, 200-300 million years ago, any traces of them would be gone that we would even know, because we don't even know where to look. I mean, just looking for stuff, looking to find the dinosaur bones we find, we just happen to be lucky. We just happen to know where to look. If there's something older, we don't know, man, because everything layers so much. The way it was explained to me, I'm like, oh, so we could have had something a long time ago we don't know of. We could be like, someone at one time said we're like the 3rd or 4th intelligent species to
inhabit
Earth for a while. Then after a while, just die out, and that's that almost makes sense.
Yeah,
to me.
I will say this: we've had multiple extinction events with catastrophic. You're talking about volcanoes just erupting all over the world.
Yeah,
we're talking about comets hitting.
Every so many years. Yeah.
So very well could have been. It just got completely wiped out by a big event.
Right.
And we'll probably never find remnants of it.
Probably, yeah.
Or
not
humans built over it.
Right.
And
humans been over it. It's below us.
You know,
exactly.
That's what humans do best is we build over something that's already been there.
And that's what's interesting about Antarctica. You know, until we get the technology to be able to go there and look underneath and excavate and see what's under there, we won't know. And so I don't. Again, unfortunately, in our lifetime, we probably won't figure it out. But I kind of think Antarctica 1 might be true. That might be something there.
I think it has gems hiding in it.
Yeah. That's definitely not out of the realm. I don't know about I'm not thinking about the UFO thing there, but I'm definitely thinking it could be an actual pyramid and not just a mountain, natural mountain.
Well, another thing was, what if it was a natural mountain and they tried to shape it?
Maybe.
And then they also dug in it and they built maybe a civilization within it.
That's still
4,000 feet's big.
Right. That's still a pyramid. That's still a man-made thing because you went and kind of like Mount Rushmore. You just kind of chipped away at it.
And so maybe they had 3 pyramids that they lived within, or it was whatever it was, and that's just their colony.
There's a black pyramid over in Egypt that they didn't know was there, and it was destroyed. It almost looked like a cliff face, but they realized it's black as the clay and everything, or just turned color after years and years of use. But they didn't realize it was there for the longest time until somebody came in. They knew they were talking about, like, hey, this is an old pyramid that's kind of broken down. Just a brief thing I'd read on an article and stuff, like, oh, that's weird. So there's such thing as pyramids that are coming up here and there.
What about the Alaska?
The Alaska one, boy, that one makes me smile. That Alaska one is really, it's a very good story. So let's touch in really quick with, not even Doug Mutzler. Let's talk in with Linda Moulton Howe. This lady is an investigative, UFO investigative reporter. She does all these stories. She does Strange Harvest. We talked about the Emmy thing when she briefly ran. So when I went back and looked at it, it's an Emmy, but it's a regional Emmy for audio excellence.
Yeah, so she recorded some good sound.
So it is an Emmy technically. So the Emmys, so when I was finally looking into it, they'll go into local areas and do local Emmys of a little news broadcast. They now do broadcast it in local areas to give them little award stuff, kind of like, hey, you didn't make the big times, but you're part of the local one. You did something good. Her Strange Harvest, which is about cattle mutilation, had won the Emmy Award for audio excellence. So it sounded good.
Yeah.
It wasn't content.
She had her sound perfect.
The sound was really good. So when you see a this lady and she ever says, oh, Emmy Award-winning Linda Moulton Howe, I'm like, yeah, because you had a documentary that sounded fucking really good. Which it's good. I mean, it's fine.
It's not saying that she did a good job on it.
Because you did a great job on your content and your story. It's just that, you know what? I don't know about the story, but it sounded great. Yeah, exactly.
It was perfect sound.
Right, exactly. It's like, you're not very good looking, but that shirt is awesome.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, they said I got a good shirt.
That shirt's making you look a little bit better.
That shirt pops. If you could just put it over your face, that'd be great. Anyways, so finding out about her, she is one of those investigators that is a total believer. So every story she goes into, it's automatically true. And she's not a debunker, which as an investigator, you should go in.
You need to do both.
You need to be both. No, I'm not saying you go in as a hardcore skeptic, but you should go in to every story
with skepticism. Yeah,
you have to. You need to vet people.
Because if you don't, you're gonna. Bigfoot was sitting on my couch last night at 2 a.m. and we had good beers today.
So you tell her she's gonna go in like she was, and then she's like, you know what? And so basically, she's looking kind of like we talk about the old, ghost hunting shows. The people that go in and automatically believe in everything. It's like no.
Every creek, every creek is a
ghost. Everything's a demon. No, you have to go in skeptically. And like, okay, if something's here, prove it to me. Prove that this is good. And so from what I understand, from hearing my other podcasts and some articles, she is not like that. She goes in full throttle that everything's true, and she's going to prove it true. So she's going to push the narrative to work for her story, basically, is what I'm trying to say. If that makes sense.
Well, she's a... Right. I forgot what kind of journalist.
So, and a lot of these sources she has, she doesn't give names. She says, well, we're trying to protect people.
So they could just be made up.
It could be just made up. It could be, maybe she's not even making it up. Maybe her sources that has always helped her, they just make it up and just feed her stuff because maybe she's giving them money. So I'll give you a little bit of money if you give me a good story. Like, okay.
Some guy in a psych ward.
You never know. It could be. So she's too close to believing for me to believe almost anything now that comes out of her mouth.
Yeah, that's a shame. Right. Maybe she does have some good content.
Maybe she is truly trying to get stuff. I'm not saying she's purposely. Maybe she is truly on, but I think she's too close to.
She's putting work in.
Right.
But it just might be the wrong work.
And she makes money out of it, great. But I'm not saying she's a shyster, purposely. But it's too much where you're not taking the skeptic. So
look at her stuff with skepticism.
Right. So we take the Doug Mutzler guy, the Air Force
believable.
intelligence person. More believable. I think she vetted him or whatever, but him coming out and saying that, I couldn't find if he was actually an Air Force counterintelligence person, but.
Well, I mean, they're not going to allow you to know.
They're not going to allow, but his story is a little more believable. I know his story changes a bit. I think I know that memory sometimes messes with you.
Yeah, but Men in Black showed up.
It's been, from what I understand, it's been more, other than dates, that it's been more or less the same, that the story's laid out that we told.
So his is more consistent.
89, he was down in Alaska and that stuff. His been more consistent. I went and checked. There was a, in May of 1992, a China bomb, nuclear testing that did happen. I don't know about the broadcast. The only thing
it's plausible.
especially with that broadcast, why is he the only one to talk about it? There was dozens of other men. He said up to 40 guys who saw this. I'm like, why isn't anybody else talking about this?
I don't think they gave a shit. I think for some reason it stuck with him. You know how some people
just the whole survey thing.
It just sticks with them,
right?
And yeah, I don't think they gave.
And I get
shits.
that. I think because beforehand he already had like a brief thing with the map, and this is not surveyed, so it kind of like a double stick with him. Okay. You need to take that?
No.
Okay.
I don't work for them.
The Men in Black are calling him. Stop talking about this. Wow, they're good.
They know.
So maybe it did, but it's kind of weird that even when he tells a story, maybe those guys don't care, like you said. But and then he talks about in '93 with the going to the archives and stuff, and I don't know about his story. Counterintelligence. It almost seems. It could be made up, but why? And that's what people. He's probably just making up. But why would he make it up?
You're putting up a lot of factual shit to make up a story.
Yeah,
because you're talking about the China bomb, the seismic event.
Right.
You talked about you went down to a news broadcast center to talk to them
about
archives,
try to look
and you
into
had
it.
one guy kind of like, hey, we had a little issue, and they kind of told us, be
Right.
quiet about it.
Right.
The story is very detailed.
Right.
I mean, you had to really sit there and think about this if you want people. But the thing is, he didn't try to get people to believe him.
Right. He was trying to confirm it himself. Pause. What is it?
Betty Brandon. I think I'm getting contacted by the fucking.
What the hell is that?
I don't know, man. But it's
wow. You're getting some weird stuff. Kind of weird that we're talking about this. It's coming up now.
His story. It's just one of those things where I could flip a coin.
Yeah.
If he's real consistent, it's like the Bob Lazar story, man. Like if he's real consistent and he told you and he's not changed it, and either he's just real smart and knows how to do detail and not, or he.
He was, but he is. But I'm thinking the only reason I could think he would make this up is just again like the Richard Doty, just muddy the waters, just kind of.
But why?
Why at this point?
Because he didn't try to get famous off this.
No.
She had to find him.
She had to find. Well, he did find her, but he was just trying to find answers. He just wanted.
He was the one that told her to look into it.
Now, is he getting money off these interviews? Maybe, but I had never really heard about it. Right, it wasn't like
I've
a
never
new
heard
sensation.
His name once.
Right,
until we started looking into this.
Exactly. Until we started looking into this, I never heard anything about it. Maybe that's his play. I don't know, but again, his story has been somewhat consistent.
Well, he is counterintelligence. Maybe they're trying to just debunk the whole, like they want, they put out the shit, so you go, oh well, I don't know, maybe there is something there,
right?
And you believe it, but you don't believe it,
right? That's what I say. He's trying to muddy the waters,
there.
Right? And maybe he's trying to muddy the waters, and you come out with a crazy, fantastical story that I mean, it's his part is okay. So just his story alone, without the other stories in, it's not that fantastical about. There's something there that the government doesn't want you. They're doing something. Doesn't mean it's a pyramid or something.
It could just be a site that they're doing something on.
Yeah, so it's just something.
Because he never said he saw a pyramid.
No.
He just said it in the
only pyramid was the broadcasting. Yes.
That was the only time he ever saw it. He had no idea. He just kept looking into why this wasn't surveyed.
Other than that, then he just couldn't. Every time he tried to look for it, he couldn't find it. The whole crazy pyramid that built on that was when Linda Moulton Howe started looking at her stories.
She started finding the pyramid stuff. And then the viewer saw a
so
pyramid.
Maybe he did have found something that there's like a small Area 51 out there, that there's something out there, right? That there. Anyways, so when she started looking at stories, or that Marty Johnson, the guy that from the World War II that went on that bus ride and down there and found this whole thing, and then to found the Lee Pearson, and they had the documentary. He went out there looking and stuff. That one, unless that documentary is, I mean, supposedly this guy Bruce Pearson is a guy you can actually look up, and I forget where. I'll try to find again.
And that was the electrician, right?
No, Bruce Pearson was his father. Was took the ride on the helicopter with his buddy.
Okay, yeah.
And they found the landing strip on some documentary. I'll put the documentary name here. You can look it up. It's
that's just saying that there was a base out there.
Right.
At one point in time.
Doesn't mean what that base is for, which they've had bases
sense because if that was during the Cold War, we had to have something real close to Russia to be able to strike.
Exactly. It could have been just that. That's what I was thinking too. I mean, that's what he said when he kind of verified his father's. I go, it doesn't really verify your father's story. It just verifies that there was a base out there.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it was anything to anything, basically, but it's gone now. So I didn't, but watching that documentary, I didn't want to rain on that dude's parade. He was so happy about it, and I'm just like, okay, well, I mean,
good for you.
Good for you. You found out the old stuff, but
you found an old base.
Verify anything about your father's story.
I know, but you found something, man.
You did find something, right? There was something out there for the coordinates. This whole captain that sent Linda Moulton Howe those photos and stuff, and I don't know. Again, it could be people messing with her. It could be her story is so weird, and like I said, she's such on the believer side that anything that comes out with now, it's hard to believe her at all now.
Yeah.
Even if people are really trying to help her, it's just kind of like you're taking to the stance of you're pushing your narrative sometimes on stories too much that you're maybe overlooking stuff that
we only have one person, actually two, the viewer and the guy that was working on trying to figure out how to harness the energy.
Right.
That talked about a pyramid.
Yeah.
That's the only people that we ever had.
Right.
Other than that, this thing doesn't exist.
And as far as a remote viewer, I don't know what your stance on remote viewing is. And again,
you got to look into it, and you got to see if that's a legit thing that you think is real.
That's.
I think. I mean, they have found people.
Right.
They found missing children, and they found.
It was never as the remote was never as precise as they pretended what it was. So that's just it. And this remote viewer that contacted again, Linda Howe. I don't know. I don't believe in that story, but it was a pretty good story that's or findings or stories that she found for that and everything, and it makes it for interesting topic. And again, my stance on this is, I think maybe the Doug Mutzler part might be a little true, but I think he just found a secret base that they're doing, maybe secret testing or whatever stuff that we're not supposed to look into, and they know. When he heard about this guy saying they, maybe he just misunderstood him, or like you said, it's some other kind of group of hey, they want you to leave, just stop. It doesn't mean they are aliens, it could just be another group.
It could be anybody.
Right, exactly. Look, we know what you're doing, stop it. It's kind of like trying to look at Area 51. They're going to keep you out. It's you're not supposed to be here.
Turn around, walk away, or you're getting arrested.
Stop it. I don't really believe the Alaskan pyramid thing. Again, if it comes out it's true, then I'll be like, well, fuck, I was wrong.
Okay, now, all right. Well, this is what I'll go on. Do I think that they're doing an energy project down in Alaska?
Yeah.
Very well could be. Is it underground?
Maybe.
Very well could be.
Yeah, that's true.
Are they trying to find an energy source? And for all we know, it's fucking nuclear.
Maybe.
And if they were trying to just keep it under wraps, and maybe they were trying to find an energy source to power the entire United States that nothing can mess with.
Right.
Very well could be. Do I think that there's little green men telling humans what to do? Probably not.
Probably not.
Do I think that's a hub for UFOs?
Probably not.
No, I think there's a lot of UFO activity in that area, but it goes into mountains, it goes into abductions, it goes that's just that whole area is the green triangle, the Alaskan Triangle
is different. Maybe it is a source of what all the electromagnetic and weird stuff. Maybe it's just that they did find something that's
just a giant rock.
Maybe, and they're trying to harness it, and it's kind of pyramid shaped. So this dude that went down there kind of.
You know what it could be? It could have been a meteor that landed and maybe hit a cavern and kind of just sealed itself off.
I mean, that's possible.
And they found it, and they're trying to harness whatever that metal is.
It's not a 7-Eleven for aliens to
no, but
up.
Maybe that metal does mess with electrical in that area, because people do have electrical, and maybe that's why, when you look at photos on the Google Maps,
it's all funky because
it could just be messing with that area.
Yeah,
and maybe they're trying to figure out why.
I didn't even think about meteor, but
yeah, maybe they're trying to figure out why.
What would you think a 7-Eleven for aliens would be? 11-7?
That'd be hilarious.
11-7. You go down there and you go alien snacks.
It might not even be 11-7. It might be
aliens
8-2.
drink Slurpees too.
I bet they do. I bet they have cool fucking flavors too.
Do they have alien hobos hanging out where they got to put the light and the weird music, loud music in the back?
And they got that one guy sitting outside that always messing with people coming in.
Alien kids asking you to buy the alien cigarettes. No, get away from me, damn it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Can you buy me some beer?
Can you buy me some alien beer? Exactly. You're like, yeah, I'd like some of that too. That's right. What is it? 11.7. That's weird.
Yeah.
Looking at the clerk like, whoa, this guy's not from around here.
Oh man. Yeah, but I don't know. I think there's something going on down there. I think there was a base. I think I think it was just a meteor or some type of metal
something that they found and they're trying to maybe they are still trying to harvest it. Maybe this put off some kind of energy or electromagnetic energy or something. Yeah. And that might explain the Alaskan Triangle because that's a whole thing too.
That we can get into. We'll do it and you'll see how weird that area is. It's
a weird
really
area. Kind of like the Bermuda Triangle kind of thing. It's a
even
weird
weirder.
Area. Yeah, it's supposed to be even weirder, but yeah. Hey man, that was interesting. That was a good topic you came up with. Yeah, it was more look into
something
like,
different.
What the hell? I had never heard of any of that kind of stuff from Antarctica or Alaska. And it's Antarctica is always interesting because we don't know what's there really. It's
no idea. We probably won't know for hundreds of years.
We know the Admiral Byrd flew around there and found the entrance to Hollow Earth, but other than that, we had that episode on.
Apparently, the Hollow Earth is right there.
That's right, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, it's just something different and something cool.
Yeah, I like it. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us again. Now, I'm sorry these episodes are kind of slow coming out. We got stuff going on. How many times I got to tell you guys? We got lives, man.
We got families.
Come on.
We got jobs.
Families.
We got,
jobs. Come on. We got stuff we got to do. But, hey, we really try to get out here as
and we'll try to be more consistent.
We're trying to get more consistent. I know we keep saying that, and you're like, liar. And I know. We'll try to get it on.
But I hope you guys enjoy it.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please share the show with someone.
Comment. Tell us if you want us to do something, please.
Exactly. If something we can improve on, something we should stop. I mean, and if you love our pretty faces, that's fine.
If we messed up,
we love compliments.
Yeah, yes. If we messed up on anything,
information,
please let us know.
Call us. We have a few people call us on that. We love it. Thank you. We'll take it over. We're trying the best we can with the information we can get. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you. We'll see you next time. Right?
Have a good one.
Bye.